The jungle was silent, but the silence was not peaceful. It was heavy, almost alive, filled with whispers that no human ear could explain. A lone soldier walked through the alien forest, his boots pressing into the soft, glowing ground. Every step made a faint light rise and fade like sparks trapped inside the soil. He was tired, but he could not rest. This planet was strange, and the mission was simple. Scout the area, gather signs of life, and return to base. Yet deep inside, he felt the mission was not so simple. Something was watching him, he was sure of it. The trees around him were tall and twisted, their branches glowing faint blue like veins under skin. The air smelled of metal and wet stone, a smell he had never known before. He turned his head, scanning the shadows, but saw nothing. His training told him to stay calm, but his heart was not listening. Then he heard it. A sound so soft yet sharp enough to cut through the silence. It was laughter, high and playful, echoing from nowhere and everywhere. The soldier froze, his hand tightening around his weapon. "Who's there?" he called out, his voice strong, but his throat felt dry. The jungle answered with more laughter, this time closer. It did not sound like a beast, not like a machine, it sounded like a girl. He moved slowly, his eyes darting between glowing plants and crooked trees. Every shadow seemed to move, every leaf seemed to watch. And then, without warning, she appeared. An alien girl standing only a few steps away. Her eyes glowed silver in the dim light. Her hair floated like smoke, as if the air itself played with it. Her skin shimmered with strange patterns, colors shifting like liquid glass. But what struck him most was her smile, wide and mischievous. The soldier raised his weapon, but she tilted her head and laughed. "No need." Her voice was soft, almost like music, but the sound did not come from her mouth. It rang inside his head, clear and sharp. He took a step back, his training screaming inside him, but his body felt heavy, as if the ground itself wanted to keep him here. The girl walked closer, slow and graceful, her bare feet making no sound. Every step she took made the ground glow brighter. The soldier whispered to himself, "This is not real, it's some trick." But she tilted her head again as if she heard every thought. "Not trick," she said inside his mind. "Game." And then she laughed again, a sound both childlike and dangerous. The soldier kept his aim steady, but doubt grew stronger. Her form flickered as if she was both here and not here. Sometimes she looked solid. Other times she seemed made of smoke. His eyes could not decide if she was real or only a dream. He demanded, "What do you want?" The girl's smile widened, her silver eyes glowing brighter. "Fun," she whispered inside his mind. Only fun. But the way she said it made his skin crawl. The soldier knew this was no ordinary encounter. This was no peaceful alien making contact. This was something else, something far more dangerous. And yet, her childish laughter echoed again, wrapping around him like a chain. He tightened his grip on his weapon, forcing himself to stay calm. But deep inside, he felt the game had already begun. The alien girl's eyes watched him like a predator watching prey. Her smile promised trouble. Her silence promised more. The jungle seemed to lean in closer, as if the world itself wanted to see what would happen next. The soldier stood frozen, locked in a strange meeting between fear and curiosity, and, as the silver-eyed girl tilted her head once more, her laughter filled the night again. This was the beginning, and he knew nothing would ever be the same. The soldier did not lower his weapon, but he could feel his hand shaking. The alien girl stood only a few steps away, glowing faintly against the strange jungle light. She was smiling like a child who had found a new toy, yet her silver eyes told a different story, sharp and unreadable. She circled him slowly, never breaking eye contact. Every time he turned to follow her, she seemed to vanish. Then she appeared again on his other side, her laughter echoing inside his skull. It was not the kind of laughter that faded, it stayed, ringing over and over. The soldier's training told him to act, to strike or retreat, but his legs felt like stone. heavy and slow. It was not fear alone, it was something else, a pressure, invisible, pressing against his body like a second skin. The girl leaned close, her face inches away, her glowing hair floated like smoke, brushing against his helmet. He could smell her, though the scent was strange. It was not sweat, not perfume, but something electric, sharp like lightning before rain. Why fight? Her voice whispered in his mind, sweet, but mocking. You are far from home, no one can hear you, so let us play. Her words crawled inside his head, soft but heavy. He felt as if her thoughts were stronger than his own. The soldier gritted his teeth, speaking aloud to steady himself. This is not a game. Tell me what you want. The alien girl only giggled, tilting her head like she did not understand. Then she tapped her finger against his chest plate. At once his armor hummed. He looked down in shock as the lock on his chest plate clicked open. The soldier stumbled back, grabbing at the gear. But the armor seemed to respond to her will, not his. One by one, small lights flickered across his suit. Systems shut down. Weapons blinked red and powered off. His helmet's screen showed error symbols he had never seen before. The girl clapped her hands once, amused at his panic. You are too heavy, she said with a laugh that felt like a knife. Human skin is better, lighter, more fun. The soldier's heart pounded in his chest. She was not trying to kill him, at least not yet. She was mocking him. His weapon slipped from his grasp. As if pulled by invisible strings, it clattered to the glowing soil, vanishing into the grass that swallowed metal whole. He lunged for it, but the girl snapped her fingers. The gun melted into dust, scattering like ash in the wind. The soldier's breathing grew faster. He tried to fight the invisible force pulling at his armor straps, but the more he struggled, the looser the pieces became. His gloves slid off. His chest plate fell with a thud. The alien girl's silver eyes shined brighter. She danced in small circles, clapping like a child celebrating a trick. Every movement of hers seemed to weaken him. Every laugh of hers made him feel smaller. Still, the soldier's spirit did not break. He forced his voice to remain steady, his eyes fixed on her glowing form. You think this is fun? He said, his tone like steel. One day, you will regret this. The girl stopped dancing for a moment. She tilted her head, her smile softening, but only for a second. Then she leaned forward, her face close again. Maybe, she whispered inside his head, but not today. The jungle around them pulsed with strange light. The trees glowed brighter, as if enjoying the show. The soldier stood with most of his armor undone, yet his eyes burned with quiet defiance. The alien girl raised her hand again, her fingers twitching. The air shimmered, and the soldier felt the pull return. But this time, instead of fighting, he held his ground. He would not give her the joy of watching him panic. For the first time, the girl's laughter slowed. She blinked, tilting her head in surprise. The game was supposed to be easy. But now, it felt different. The soldier's calmness made her curious, almost uneasy. The jungle fell silent, the air heavy with tension. The soldier stood tall, unarmed and half exposed. The alien girl hovered near him, unsure whether to laugh or frown, and in that strange silence a new game had just begun. The soldier's breath came slow and steady, but inside his heart raced like a drum. The alien girl circled him again, her silver eyes glowing brighter in the dim jungle light. Her smile widened, sharp and playful. To her, this was no fight. It was a game, and he was her new toy. The last pieces of his armor clung to his body, but he knew it was only a matter of time. Each step she took, another strap loosened, another buckle fell away. Her laughter echoed softly in his mind, never ending. He had faced enemy soldiers, machines, and wild beasts, but never something like this. Why so serious? Her voice purred inside his thoughts. Do not fear. I will not hurt you, I only want to see. Her words made his skin crawl, not from pain, but from the helplessness they carried. He tried to raise his arms to block her, but an invisible weight pressed them down. The girl flicked her fingers in the air. At once, the belt on his waist unfastened. falling soundlessly into the glowing grass. The soldier clenched his jaw, refusing to show panic, but her laughter grew louder like a child who had found endless amusement. She danced around him in circles, her feet never touching the soil. Her body flickered between solid and smoke, sometimes near, sometimes far. It was as if the entire jungle was her stage and he was trapped at the center. The silver glow from her eyes never left him, always watching. The soldier whispered under his breath, "Stay calm. Think." But every plan dissolved under her strange power. She did not strike. She did not kill. She only stripped away his defenses piece by piece. His human pride was being taken. At one point, she leaned close, so close he could feel the strange heat of her skin. Her voice brushed against his mind, like a breeze. "You are stronger than the others," she said softly. "They screamed, they begged, but you are different." He froze at her words. There had been others, other humans, victims of her mischief. The thought burned inside him. This was not random play. This was a pattern. The girl twirled away again, clapping her hands. With each clap, more of his gear slipped free, falling uselessly to the glowing ground. His boots loosened, his shoulder guards clattered away, and through it all she laughed, silver hair floating like a flame. But the soldier's eyes never broke. He glared at her, unshaken, though his body grew lighter with every second. She stopped, for a moment blinking in curiosity. Her smile softened, not mocking this time, but curious. "You do not break," she whispered, her voice soft but sharp. "You do not give me fear. You only give me silence." The soldier said nothing, his silence a weapon of its own. Her glowing eyes flickered as if she did not know what to do next. Still, her mischief was not over. She raised her hands, palms, glowing with strange energy. The ground beneath him rippled like water. The jungle itself seemed to laugh with her, echoing her cruel game. The soldier staggered, the world bending and twisting. For a moment he saw visions, shadows of other soldiers stripped of armor, broken and humiliated. The girl's voice sang inside his head, "They are gone, but you remain. Show me more, human. Show me more." Her laughter rang out like bells, sharp and endless. The soldier clenched his fists, nails biting into his palms. He would not scream. He would not beg. If this was her game, then he would endure it, because deep inside, he knew something she did not. Every trick revealed weakness. Every laugh showed her overconfidence. She thought herself untouchable, but even shadows had limits, and he was learning them little by little. The girl stopped moving, hovering just in front of him, her silver eyes locked onto his, her smile thinner now. She whispered, "You are fun." But her voice carried a hint of frustration, a note she could not hide. The soldier stood tall, stripped of most of his gear but not his will. He said calmly, "If you want to play, then play harder." Her eyes widened slightly, her mischievous grin returning. "Very well," she whispered. "Let us see how long you last." The jungle darkened around them, the glowing trees dimming. The air grew heavy as if the world itself held its breath. The girl raised her hands again, her laughter sharper, colder than before. The mischief was not ending, it was only beginning. The jungle held its breath, glowing trees dimming as if they wished to hide. The alien girl floated before the soldier, her silver eyes shimmering with wild joy. Her lips curled into a grin that was no longer playful but sharper, almost cruel. The air thickened around them, heavy with invisible power. The soldier stood tall, stripped of much of his armor, his boots sinking into the glowing soil. He felt the sting of cold air against his skin, and yet he refused to flinch. Every second tested him. Every laugh of hers pressed against his pride, but he would not bow, not even to this strange creature of light and smoke. The girl clapped her hands once, a sound like thunder echoing through the trees. At once the ground beneath him pulsed with energy. The last plates of his armor shook loose, falling uselessly into the glowing grass. He was left nearly bare, a soldier reduced to nothing but skin and stubbornness. The girl's laughter filled his mind, ringing like silver bells. She danced around him, her hair streaming like a halo of smoke. Her voice whispered with delight. Now I see the human beneath the metal. Her words struck deeper than blades, not into his flesh but into his pride. For a soldier, armor was more than protection. It was his honor, his shield, the weight of his training, and now it lay scattered across the jungle floor like broken toys. The girl pointed at the pile and clapped again. The armor pieces glowed, then crumbled into dust. The jungle swallowed them whole, leaving nothing behind. The soldier stared at the empty ground, his jaw tight. She had not only stripped him of his defenses, she had erased them. Her laughter softened, almost gentle now. She tilted her head, studying him as if he were art. "You are small without your shell," she said, her voice sharp inside his head. "Yet you still try to look tall. Is this human pride?" The soldier kept his silence, his eyes locked onto hers. If he spoke, he knew she would twist his words into more games. If he shouted, she would laugh louder. So he gave her nothing. Nothing but the fire in his stare. Her grin faltered for a second, but then returned wider than before. "Silent human," she whispered. "Do you feel shame?" Her words pressed against his mind, pulling at old memories. Battles fought, comrades lost. Moments of weakness he had buried deep. Visions flickered before his eyes. He saw himself failing missions, standing alone on fields of ruin. Her power reached into his mind, dragging shadows to the surface. The jungle twisted around him, replaying his worst moments like cruel theater. The soldier clenched his fists, nails cutting into his palms. The humiliation burned like fire. But still he did not speak. He knew her power fed on reaction, fed on fear, and he would not feed her, not with his voice. The girl floated closer, her glowing skin brushing against his bare arm. "You are stubborn," she whispered, her voice almost tender. "Most men beg me to stop by now, but you stand, you glare, you endure." Her silver eyes narrowed, both amused and frustrated. She circled behind him, her hand brushing against his back. He felt energy crawl across his skin like static. Every muscle in his body screamed to move, to strike. But the invisible force pinned him. Forcing stillness, her laughter returned. Softer now, but more dangerous. "You wear no armor, no weapons, only skin. Yet you still fight me with silence. Why?" The soldier finally spoke, his voice low but steady. "Because you cannot take what matters." The words echoed in the air, cutting through her illusions. Her laughter stopped for the briefest moment. She blinked, tilting her head. Then she smiled again, sharper, as if challenged. "Then I will try harder," she said inside his mind, her voice a hiss of delight. The jungle pulsed again, light flickering like a dying fire. Shadows stretched around them, twisting into strange forms. The soldier stood bare, humiliated but unbroken. The girl's silver eyes glowed brighter, her mischief turning into obsession. She no longer wanted only to strip him, she wanted to break him. But the soldier's calmness unsettled her, more than any scream could. And deep inside she began to wonder who was truly playing the game. The jungle stayed silent, the stars above watching, the human and the alien locked in a strange duel of pride and will. And though she laughed once more, it no longer sounded pure. It carried a crack, a hint of doubt hidden beneath the mischief. The jungle was alive with whispers, the glowing trees flickering as if they carried secrets. The alien girl hovered in silence now, her silver eyes locked onto the human who refused to break. Her smile had softened, but not in kindness. It was the smile of a predator who had found prey worth chasing. The soldier stood with bare skin and heavy breath, yet his spirit was sharper than any blade. Her laughter had tried to bury him in shame. Her illusions had clawed into his past, but none of it broke him. None of it gave her the reaction she wanted, and that truth unsettled her, twisting her joy into a strange hunger. She wanted more. She wanted to see where his limits truly ended. "You are stubborn," her voice whispered like smoke inside his mind. "You bleed silence, but silence cannot save you." She raised her hand, and the air shimmered with invisible power. The ground rippled, and again he felt the weight crush down on his chest. The soldier's knees trembled under the invisible pressure. His body screamed to collapse, to kneel before her glowing form, but he gritted his teeth and straightened. He would not bend, not for her, not for anyone. The girl's silver eyes narrowed, her grin widening. She pushed harder, the air bending, around him like stone walls. The soldier's veins bulged as he fought the force pressing down. His lungs burned, his muscles tore, but still he stood. Step by step she floated closer, her face almost calm now. "You resist because you think you can win," she said, her voice echoing like a blade. "But you are nothing here. Your kind is nothing here." Her words carried the weight of countless others who had failed before him. The soldier did not answer, but his silence grew heavier than her voice. Each breath he drew was a victory, each heartbeat a weapon. For the first time, the alien girl's eyes flickered, uncertain. She was used to fear. She was used to screams, but not to this. The soldier took a step forward, slow but steady. The invisible wall fought him, every movement like pushing against a mountain. Yet his boots pressed into the glowing ground, leaving deep marks, step by step. He moved toward her, defiance burning in his eyes. The girl tilted her head, her grin faltering. "Strange human," she whispered. "Why do you still walk?" Her voice no longer rang with pure joy. There was something else in it now, curiosity and perhaps a shadow of doubt. The soldier stopped only a few feet away, his chest heaving. He raised his hand slowly, reaching toward her glowing form. For a heartbeat, the air between them cracked with strange energy. And for the first time, her body flickered, not in illusion, but in weakness. She drifted back, silver hair floating wildly. Her grin returned, but it was thinner now, forced. "You surprise me," she said, her voice sharper than before. "You fight with nothing, yet still you rise." The soldier answered at last, his voice low and steady. "Because I am not nothing." The words struck through the silence. Like steel through glass, the jungle itself seemed to shiver at the sound. The girl's laughter burst out again, high and sharp. But this time it carried a crack, a note of unease. Her mischief had not broken him. It had only forged him harder. And now the game felt less like play and more like war. The soldier's body trembled with exhaustion, but he stood tall. Every muscle screamed, every breath burned. But deep inside, a fire raged stronger than her illusions. A fire she had not expected. A fire she could not control. The alien girl floated higher, her silver eyes blazing. "If you will not break," she whispered, "then I will burn you until you do." Her hands glowed with light, and the jungle around them roared alive. Trees bent, soil cracked, shadows twisted like living chains. The soldier raised his chin, staring up at her without fear. His voice cut through the storm, strong despite the weight. "Do your worst," he said. "I will not kneel." And with those words, the struggle deepened. The balance began to shift. The jungle shook as power clashed against human will. Her laughter returned, but the sound was strained. The soldier's silence had turned into resistance. And the alien girl, for the first time, was no longer sure of her victory. The jungle trembled with every breath of the alien girl's power. Glowing trees bent as if bowing to her will, their branches shaking in silver light. The air cracked, with energy, and the ground split like dry earth under fire. Yet through it all, the soldier stood, his body bruised but his spirit unbroken. The girl hovered above him, her hair flowing like burning smoke. Her eyes shined brighter than the stars, furious yet still playful. But hidden under that glow was something new. A faint hesitation, a flicker of doubt. She stretched out her hand, her fingers glowing with violent light. Invisible chains wrapped around the soldier's body, forcing him down. The ground quaked beneath his knees, the weight of her power crushing. And yet, with a roar inside his chest, he pushed back. The chains snapped one by one, glowing strands breaking like fragile glass. The soldier's arms rose, his muscles burning, his breath ragged. But he stood tall once more, refusing to kneel. The alien girl froze in midair, her silver eyes widening. "No," she whispered into his mind, her voice trembling with disbelief. "No human breaks my bindings, not ever." Her words echoed across the jungle, sharp and uncertain, but the soldier only glared back, his silence heavier than her scream. He took a step forward, steady and strong. Every inch he moved tore against, the force pressing him down. But step by step he closed the distance, and with each step her glow dimmed just a little. The girl's laughter returned, but it sounded thinner. She floated back, her hands raised as if to shield herself. "You should not be able to resist me," she said, her tone sharper now. "You are nothing here. You are only flesh." The soldier's voice cut through the night, calm but unshakable. "Flesh endures. Pride endures, and you cannot take that." His words rang out, carried by the silent jungle. Even the glowing trees seemed to lean closer to listen. Her silver eyes narrowed, anger flashing across her face. She lunged forward, her form splitting into 3 shadows. Each one circled the soldier, whispering in his mind. Weak, fragile, alone. The soldier closed his eyes, ignoring the whispers. He let the noise wash over him like wind. The shadows hissed, clawed, tried to bury him in illusion. But his silence was stronger, and their voices faded. The 3 shadows flickered, merging back into her single form. She hovered above him again, but her breath came faster. Her grin had returned, but it was strained. This was no longer the simple game she had planned. The soldier raised his hand slowly, reaching toward her glowing figure. Energy sparked around his fingers, silver light clashing against human will. The girl flinched back, her body flickering like broken glass. For the first time, she looked less like a goddess and more like a frightened child. "You should not touch me," she whispered, her voice almost weak. "You are only human, you cannot touch what is beyond you." But the soldier's voice was steady as stone. "Then why are you afraid?" Her eyes widened, the silver glow trembling. The jungle around them dimmed, silence spreading like fire. Her laughter returned again, but this time it cracked. It carried a note of fear hidden beneath the sound. The soldier took another step forward, his shadow, stretching long beneath the glowing trees. His body still shook from exhaustion, but his eyes never left hers. For the first time she drifted back instead of forward. The predator was no longer certain of her hunt. The girl's voice trembled. Inside his mind, "You are different from the others they broke, but you changed the game." She tilted her head, her grin trying to mask her unease. "But I can still win. I always win." The soldier said nothing, only raised his chin higher. His silence became a wall she could not climb, and with every second, her power seemed less like dominance and more like desperation. The balance was shifting piece by piece, breath by breath. The jungle pulsed once more, but not with her energy. This time the glow came from the ground where the soldier stood. Light spread under his feet like fire breaking free. The alien girl stared in shock as the world itself seemed to answer him. Her silver eyes widened, her body trembling in the air. For the first time, her smile faded completely. The soldier had not only resisted her mischief, he had turned the very game against her. The jungle roared alive, and the night waited for what came next. The alien girl floated back in silence, her grin gone, and the human, stripped of armor but not of will, stood unshaken beneath her glow. The shift in power had begun, and nothing would stop it now. The jungle was silent, but it was no longer her silence. It was his. The glowing trees bent toward the soldier as if they too had chosen sides. The alien girl hovered above him, her silver eyes trembling, her smile gone. She had stripped him, humiliated him, crushed him with invisible weight. She had filled his mind with illusions, tried to break his pride. But now, she was the one drifting backward. The predator no longer looked like a hunter, but like prey cornered in her own game. The way soldier's chest rose and fell, every breath heavy but steady. He had nothing left but his skin, his strength, and his silence. Yet those 3 things were enough to stand against her, and that truth shook her more than all her laughter had ever shaken him. "You are not like the others," her voice whispered inside his head, softer now. "You do not break, you do not bend, you make me." She stopped, her silver eyes flickering. For the first time, she could not finish her thought. The soldier raised his hand, his fingers steady despite the weight of exhaustion. The air shimmered between them, energy sparking like lightning in a storm. She drifted back, her glowing hair whipping around her face. "You cannot touch me," she hissed, her voice breaking. "I am beyond you." But he stepped forward, closing the distance with quiet defiance. His voice came low, heavy, unshakable. "You thought this was your game," he said. "But you forgot one thing. Humans don't play to lose." Her silver eyes widened, her body flickering like broken glass. The jungle around them pulsed again, but this time not from her power. The glow came from the ground beneath his feet. The earth itself lit up, answering his will, not hers. She gasped, her laughter returning but broken, sharp, desperate. "This is not possible," she whispered. "You cannot twist my own world against me." But even as she spoke, the light spread wider. Her silver glow was no longer the brightest thing in the night. The soldier moved closer still, his bare skin glowing faintly now. The energy she had tried to crush him with seemed to bend around him instead. The power she thought was hers alone was no longer listening to her. It was listening to him. The girl's lips trembled, her grin returning out of habit, not joy. "You think you have won?" she whispered. "But this is only fun for me." Her words rang false even to her own ears. For the first time, her laughter sounded afraid. The soldier stopped only a few feet away, his shadow long and sharp beneath the silver glow. He stared at her, his voice calm, steady, dangerous. "You wanted fun," he said. "Now it is my turn." The jungle itself seemed to shiver at his words. The girl tilted her head, her smile shaking. She whispered, You are not like the others. You are different." Her silver eyes flickered with something she had not shown before. Not mischief, not pride, but respect. Or was it fear? The soldier reached his hand toward her glowing chest. The air cracked with power, silver sparks dancing around his fingers. She flinched, her body flickering as if she could vanish at any moment, but she did not. She stayed, frozen in place. "You cannot win," she whispered, her voice thin. "I am endless. I am not bound by flesh." But the soldier's voice cut through her like steel. "Endless or not, you bleed when you doubt." Her eyes widened, the words striking deep. Her silver glow shook. Her illusions faltered. For the first time she looked small, fragile. Her power, her mischief, her games, all of it cracked beneath his stare. The jungle roared with light, trees flashing like thunder. The ground shook, the air burned. And then silence fell, heavy and final. The soldier and the alien girl stood locked in a stare, her lips parted, her voice barely a whisper. "Perhaps this game is not mine after all." The soldier's eyes narrowed, his silence answering louder than words, and for the first time, she drifted back, not with laughter but with caution. The jungle dimmed again, the glow fading to embers. The soldier stood tall, bare, stripped, exhausted, but undefeated. The alien girl's silver eyes lingered on him, her smile faint and unreadable. Then she whispered one last time, "We will play again." And with a shimmer, she vanished into the night, her laughter echoing faintly through the jungle, softer, weaker, uncertain. The soldier stood alone, but not broken. The game was over, but the war had only just begun.